The Chromecast notification popped up on our 65-inch Samsung at 11:47 p.m. on December 23rd, 2023, right as I was wrapping Patricia's anniversary gift, showing Patricia's iPhone wants to cast, Aspen at Christmas, gnomes22.move. And I remember thinking it was weird because we'd never been to Aspen together, and my hands went completely numb, holding the Tiffany bracelet I'd just spent 2 hours picking out while she was supposedly at yoga. If you've got some time, and maybe something stronger than coffee, settle in. This is going to take a while, so why did I press play on that video when I already knew it would destroy me? Good question. Maybe I needed to see it to believe it. Maybe after 17 years of marriage, you owe yourself the truth, even when the truth is a 4-minute vacation video that proves your entire life is a lie. Here's what you need to know up front. I spent 15 years building an auto repair empire with my best friend while my wife supported me from home. Or at least, that's what I thought was happening. Turns out, I was too busy building to notice they were tearing it all down, together, in secret, with a plan so elaborate it had its own LLC and property portfolio. What started as a random smart TV notification became a rabbit hole of fake prenups, embezzled funds, and a double life so perfectly constructed, it took them a decade and a half to get sloppy. This is the story of how I found out, how I fought back, and how burning down their lies nearly destroyed me in the process. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning, back when Kevin was still my brother, and Patricia was still my wife. Back when I actually believed people meant what they said. I met Kevin in 2005 at a community college auto mechanics program in Seattle. We were both 23, both from families where you fixed your own car because the shop was too expensive, both convinced we could do it better than the chain stores ripping people off. Kevin was the talker, could sell anything to anyone, always had big ideas. I was the wrench guy, the one who could diagnose an engine problem by sound alone. We clicked immediately, like brothers from different mothers. By 2007, we were inseparable. Kevin introduced me to Patricia at his 25th birthday party. She was his co-worker at some marketing firm downtown, and she was beautiful in that effortless way that made me nervous. Dark hair, quick smile, the kind of woman who seemed way out of my league. But Kevin vouched for me. "Chris is the real deal," he told her. "Gonna own his own business someday. You should give him a shot." We got married in 2008. Small ceremony, mostly family and close friends. Kevin was my best man. I can still see him standing up there in his rented tux, grinning like he'd won something. In his speech, he said, "Christopher's the most loyal guy I know. Patricia, you got a good one." Everyone laughed. Patricia squeezed my hand. Looking back, I should have noticed things then. Little things. Patricia insisted we wait to have kids until the business was stable. Kevin always seemed to know what Patricia was thinking before I did, finishing her sentences at dinner parties. But when you trust people, you explain away the weird stuff. You tell yourself, it's nothing. In 2009, I finally scraped together enough money to open my first shop in Renton, just south of Seattle. 1,500 square feet, 2 bays, equipment held together with duct tape and prayers. Kevin convinced me to make him a partner. "I'll handle the books and business side. You handle the wrenches. 50-50, brother. We build this together." It barely broke even the first year, but we survived. Then Kevin had what I thought was a brilliant idea. Expand fast, get big enough to compete with the chains. Shop 2 opened in Bellevue in 2012, Shop 3 in Tacoma in 2014, Shop 4 in Everett in 2018. Every expansion meant bigger loans, longer hours, more stress. I was working 70, 80-hour weeks, basically living in the shops. Patricia supported it all from home, or so I thought. She did freelance marketing consulting, worked with clients a couple times a month. Kevin managed operations and finances while I kept my head under the hoods. We had a routine, the 3 of us and our wider friend group. Sunday dinners at Kevin's parents' house, Ellen and Robert, this sweet older couple who'd been married 45 years and treated me like a second son. Kevin and Patricia acted normal around each other, the way old friends do. She'd call him Kev. He'd tease her about her coffee order. I never suspected a thing because why would I? Kevin was like a brother. Patricia chose me. That was enough. But there were cracks I didn't see, or didn't want to see. Like in 2020 when COVID hit and business tanked. Kevin suggested Patricia help with social media marketing for the shops. Suddenly, they were working together constantly, texting about campaigns and strategies. I was too stressed about keeping the business alive to question it, or how our sex life went from occasional to basically non-existent. "We're both tired," Patricia would say. "The business is stressful. It's normal." And I believed her because I wanted to. Then there was Christmas 2022. I noticed Kevin and Patricia both showed up to his parents' dinner wearing matching Patagonia jackets. Navy blue with red accents, not a common style. When I mentioned it, Patricia laughed it off. "Patagonia only makes like 3 colors, Chris. It's a coincidence." Kevin nodded. "Great minds think alike, I guess." I dropped it. That's what I did back then. I dropped things. December 2023 started normal enough. Well, normal for us, which meant I was working overtime to hit year-end bonuses while Patricia stressed about client reports, and Kevin texted me constantly about Q4 numbers. Our Ballard neighborhood home was decorated for Christmas. Patricia had gone all out with lights and a real tree, the way she always did. We were coming up on our 17th wedding anniversary in January, and I'd actually taken time off work to pick out something special. December 22nd, I stopped by Tiffany in downtown Seattle after closing the Renton shop. Spent 2 hours picking out this delicate silver bracelet with a tiny diamond. The saleswoman wrapped it in that iconic blue box, and I felt proud of myself for once. Proud that despite working constantly, I'd still made time for romance. I got home around 11 p.m. Patricia was upstairs, probably asleep. I decided to wrap the gift early, get it done so I wouldn't forget in the holiday chaos. I set up in the living room, with wrapping paper and tape, TV on in the background showing muted local news. Just me, the Christmas tree lights, and this little blue box that represented 17 years of marriage. That's when the notification popped up. 11:47 p.m. Exactly. I know because I checked my watch, confused. The TV screen changed from news to a Chromecast prompt. Patricia's iPhone wants to cast Aspen, Christmas, 2022, und move. My first thought was technical. We'd never linked her phone to the TV for casting. My second thought was geographical. We'd never been to Aspen. Patricia had gone to a marketing conference in San Diego last Christmas. I remembered because I had worked through the holiday covering for employees who wanted time off. I stared at the prompt for maybe 30 seconds, bracelet forgotten in my lap. Then I pressed accept. The video loaded slowly, the progress bar filling while my heart started doing this weird thing where it beat too hard and not hard enough at the same time. Then it started playing. Point of view from a ski lift, moving up the mountain, snow-covered trees passing below. Patricia's laugh, loud and genuine in a way I hadn't heard in years. The camera panned right, and there was Kevin sitting next to her. They were wearing those matching Patagonia jackets. He said something I couldn't hear over the wind, and Patricia laughed again. Then Kevin leaned in and kissed her. Not a friendly peck, a real kiss, intimate and easy, the kind that comes from practice. The kind that said, this wasn't the first time. The timestamp in the corner said December 27, 2022, 2:34 p.m. I watched the whole 4 minutes, watched them get off the lift, ski down a run together, stop for hot chocolate at a lodge, watch my wife and my best friend act like a couple on vacation while I'd been alone in Seattle, working, believing her lies about San Diego. The video ended. The TV went back to the Chromecast home screen. I sat there holding Patricia's anniversary gift, and I couldn't feel my hands. Couldn't feel anything except this spreading numbness that started in my chest and worked outward until I was just a body on a couch staring at a screen. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just stopped breathing for a bit. Then I checked my phone calendar. December 26, 30, 2022. Patricia's entry said, SD Marketing Conference, Mon Free. I sat there until 3 a.m. watching that video on loop, studying their body language. The way Kevin's hand rested on her lower back. The way she looked at him. 17 years of marriage, and I'd never seen her look at me like that. Patricia came downstairs at 7 in the morning, fresh from the shower, smelling like her vanilla body wash. Morning, babe. You're up early. I'd hidden the Tiffany box by then. Couldn't sleep, I said. Me neither. Too much coffee yesterday. She kissed my forehead like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't been fucking my best friend for God knows how long. I'm going last minute shopping. Need anything? No, I said. I'm good. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway, I grabbed her laptop from the office. She kept it password protected, but I knew the password because we'd always trusted each other. Funny how that works. Her Chrome browser had saved passwords. I found a shared Google Photos album titled P&K Adventures. 412 photos spanning from 2009 to 2023. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely scroll. There they were. Napa Valley wine tasting, Portland waterfront, Vancouver, BC. All these trips I'd thought were work or visiting her mom or girls' weekends. Every single one was with Kevin. Intimate dinners, hotel rooms, them holding hands on beaches I'd never been to. I dropped the laptop, actually dropped it. It clattered onto the hardwood, and I just stared at it. If you've ever been cheated on, you probably know what I mean when I say the worst part isn't the betrayal itself. It's realizing you've been living in a completely different reality than everyone else. While I was building our business, our future, our life, they were building something else entirely, and I'd been too busy, too trusting, too fucking stupid to notice. I spent Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in hell. Patricia acted normal, loving even. Kevin texted me, "Merry Christmas, brother," with a photo of him and his parents at their house. I faked a stomach flu to avoid going to their traditional Christmas dinner. Patricia went anyway. Came back at 10 p.m. talking about how Ellen made her famous ham, how Robert asked about me. "They were worried about you," she said, getting into bed next to me. "Said you work too hard." I wanted to vomit. Instead, I said, "Yeah, probably right." She fell asleep within minutes. I lay there next to her. This woman I'd shared a bed with for 17 years. And she was a complete stranger. While she was out visiting her mother on December 26th, I went deeper. I had access to our joint bank accounts, obviously, but I'd never really looked at them closely. I trusted Kevin to handle the business finances, trusted Patricia to handle our personal expenses. God, I was an idiot. The business accounts showed a pattern. Every quarter, like clockwork, there were wire transfers to something called Northwest Property LLC. Amounts varied, $40,000 here, $60,000 there, labeled as equipment purchases in Kevin's neat handwriting. I cross-referenced with our actual shop inventory. The equipment didn't exist. Then I checked Patricia's credit card, the one I was an authorized user on. Charges from Aspen in December 2022. Napa Valley in October 2022. Portland in August 2022, all on dates she'd supposedly been working. I pulled up Kevin's Instagram, which I rarely checked. His stories showed travel photos too, but always captioned as vendor meetings or business trips. Never any sign of Patricia. They'd been careful, disciplined. This wasn't some drunken mistake at a Christmas party. This was planned. On December 31st, New Year's Eve, I went full forensic. I had 15 years of business records at my fingertips. I was co-owner after all. I went through every equipment purchase Kevin had ever made, cross-checked them with inventory, with depreciation schedules, with actual vendor invoices. The phantom purchases totaled around $750,000 over 15 years. Then I did something I'd never thought to do before. I searched Washington State property records, public database, looking for Northwest Property LLC. 3 properties popped up. A condo in Belltown, downtown Seattle, purchased 2018 for $550,000. A cabin in Leavenworth, Mountain Town, 2 hours east, purchased 2020 for $380,000. An investment duplex in Capitol Hill, purchased 2022 for $720,000. Total $165 million in real estate. The LLC members listed Kevin Morrison and Patricia Chen. My wife's maiden name was Chen. She'd kept it professionally. The down payments on these properties matched almost exactly the phantom equipment purchases from our business. I sat in my home office at 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and the math was so clear, it was almost beautiful. They'd been embezzling from my company to build their future together. Every loan I'd taken out to expand, every 80-hour work week, every sacrifice, I'd been funding their exit strategy. Then I remembered something else, the prenup. Patricia had insisted on one before we got married in 2008. She said it was to protect me, since I was about to start a business. We'd signed it at her kitchen table with Kevin as witness. I'd never thought about it again, because what did it matter? We were in love. We'd grow old together. I found the document in our filing cabinet. Something about it felt wrong. The formatting was off. The attorney's name at the bottom, David Chen, Family Law, didn't have a firm listed, just a phone number. I called it on January 1st, 2024, New Year's Day. Disconnected. I Googled David Chen, attorney, Washington State Bar. No results. I searched the Washington State Bar Association database. No David Chen, licensed in family law. Ever. The prenup was fake. Kevin and Patricia had drafted it themselves to make me feel protected while they set up their con. Washington is a community property state. Without a real prenup, she'd get half of everything in a divorce. Half of the business I'd built, half of the assets they'd already stolen. That's when something in me shifted. I'd been operating in shock for 10 days, barely sleeping, barely eating, just discovering new layers of betrayal. But sitting there at 3 a.m. on New Year's Day, looking at fake legal documents and real property records, I stopped being a victim. I started being something else. I called my brother David, who lives in Portland, woke him up at 3 a.m. "I need help," I said. He didn't ask questions, just said, "I'm coming up. Give me 3 hours." When he arrived, I showed him everything. The video, the photos, the property records, the fake prenup, the embezzlement pattern. David's an accountant, and I watched his face go from sympathetic to furious to coldly analytical. "Chris," he said finally, "this is felony-level fraud. You could send them to prison." "I know. So what do you want to do?" I looked at all the evidence spread across my dining room table. 15 years of lies, printed out in black and white. "I want to destroy them," I said. "Completely. Then I'll let the law finish them off." David nodded slowly. "Then you're going to need a team." I spent the first week of January assembling the team. I wiped out my personal savings, $75,000. But it was worth it. First, a forensic accountant. Diane was in her 50s, came highly recommended by David, had worked fraud cases for the FBI. She looked at our business records and within 2 days found even more than I had. Kevin had created fake vendor accounts and paid himself kickbacks. Patricia had been billing the business for marketing consulting at $10,000 a month since 2015, services she'd never actually provided. Total embezzlement, $1.2 million over 15 years. "This is actually beautiful," Diane said, and I must have looked at her weird because she clarified. "The documentation, I mean, they kept perfect records of their own fraud. They thought they were so smart, they got sloppy." Next, a divorce attorney. Marcus had a shark's reputation and charged $500 an hour. I didn't care. "I want her to get nothing," I told him. "In Washington, adultery doesn't affect property division," he said, "but it affects spousal support. And if we can prove she stole from the business, we can demand repayment before any asset division happens." "Do it." Then a business litigation attorney. Rebecca specialized in the partnership dissolution. She was younger than the others, early 30s, but she had this intensity that I trusted. "We're going to force Kevin to either buy you out at fair value or sell his half to you," she said. "4 shops. Current market value puts fair buyout at $2.4 million. Can he afford that?" "Not without selling the properties he bought with Patricia." Rebecca smiled. "Perfect." Finally, a private investigator. Tom was a retired cop who looked like he'd seen some shit. "I need everything on both of them," I told him. "Everywhere they've been, everyone they've talked to, every lie they've told." "You want to destroy them or understand them?" Tom asked. "Destroy." "Good, understanding is overrated." Patricia and Kevin had no idea what was coming. I played it cool, went to work, came home, acted normal. Patricia asked if I was okay. I had been quiet. "Just stressed about year-end numbers," I said. She believed me because she wanted to. Kevin texted constantly about business stuff, and I responded like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, my team was building a case that would demolish both of them. Marcus filed for divorce on January 15th. Patricia's face when the process server showed up at our house was almost worth the $75,000 I'd spent. Almost. "Chris, what the fuck?" she said, holding the papers. "Read them," I said. She did. The filing cited adultery with Kevin specifically, demanded full accounting of her consulting fees to the business, and sought return of all embezzled funds before property division. "This is insane," she said. "You can't prove any of this." I showed her the Google Photos album, printed out. Her face went white. "How did you—" "Your laptop. Your password is our wedding date, remember? The one you clearly don't care about." She tried to salvage it. "Chris, let me explain. You've got 24 hours to get a lawyer. After that, we don't talk except through attorneys." She moved out that night, went straight to the Belltown condo. I knew because Tom had already confirmed they both had keys. Rebecca filed the partnership dissolution paperwork on January 16th. Kevin got served at the Renton shop, in front of employees, called me immediately. "Brother, what are you doing?" His voice was shaking. "Don't call me brother," I said. "You've got 1 week to make an offer on my half of the business, $2.4 million. Otherwise, we force a sale and I buy you out piece by piece." "I don't have that kind of money." "Then you shouldn't have stolen mine." I hung up. The civil fraud lawsuit came next, filed January 20th. Kevin and Patricia, jointly, for $1.2 million in damages plus punitive. I filed liens on all 3 Northwest Property LLC properties. They couldn't sell anything without paying me first. The dominoes were falling, but I wanted more than legal victory. I wanted public humiliation. I wanted everyone who'd ever believed their lies to know the truth. So I started building the evidence presentation, created a private Google Drive folder with everything: photos, property records, bank statements, timeline of the affair, timeline of the fraud, wrote a 10-page document explaining it all in painful detail, called it The 15-Year Con, How My Wife and Best Friend Stole 1.2-seaters While I Built Their Future. I made a list of everyone who needed to see it: Kevin's parents, both their siblings, our entire friend group, 25 couples who'd known us for years, Patricia's current employer, some of our business clients who were also friends. But I didn't want to just email it. I wanted a moment, a stage, maximum impact. Kevin's parents hosted a New Year's Eve party every year. Well, technically they called it a late New Year party because they hated competing with the real holiday. They did it in late January. 60 to 80 people typically showed up. Family, friends, business associates, their church community. It had been a tradition since 2009, the year Kevin and I opened our first shop. This year's party was scheduled for January 28th. I RSVP'd. Yes. Then I did something calculated. I texted both Patricia and Kevin separately. Same message. "I want to try to work things out. We should show up to the party together, show people we're adults." They both agreed, thought I was backing down. I had a reputation for avoiding conflict, for being the peacemaker. They thought they knew me. They were wrong. I spent a week preparing, got the evidence printed into 3 identical books, hard copies, professionally bound. Practiced what I'd say with David. Bought a new suit because I wanted to look sharp for the execution. Set up automated emails to send the Google Drive link to everyone on my list if I lost my nerve. January 27th, the day before the party, I had my final check-in with all the attorneys. "Everything's filed," Marcus said. "They can't stop the legal process now." Tom delivered his final report. More photos, more evidence, and one detail that made my stomach turn. Kevin had told his parents that Patricia and I were having marital troubles, and he was trying to help us work through it. Ellen and Robert had been praying for us. I realized then that Kevin's parents were going to be collateral damage. They were in their 70s, devout Catholics, married 45 years. This would destroy them. I called David. "Ellen and Robert don't deserve this." "No," he agreed. "They don't." But Kevin should have thought about that before he betrayed everyone who loved him. "I'm going to humiliate a 70-year-old woman in front of her entire church community. Chris, you spent 15 years building an empire while Kevin stole from you and fucked your wife. You don't owe him or his parents your silence." I sat with that for a long time. I was too busy building to notice they were tearing it all down, I said quietly. "Then show them what happens when you stop building and start fighting back." January 28th, 2024. I drove to Kevin's parents' house in Maple Valley, south of Seattle. Nice middle-class neighborhood, the kind where people put up Halloween decorations and know their neighbors' names. The kind of place where betrayal wasn't supposed to happen. I arrived at 7 p.m. exactly. The house was already full. I could see people through the windows, laughing, holding drinks. Patricia's car was parked down the street. Kevin's truck was in the driveway. I sat in my car for 5 minutes, 3 printed evidence books on the passenger seat, and I thought about turning around, about being the bigger person, about letting the legal system handle it. Then I thought about that video of them kissing on the ski lift, thought about 17 years of lies, thought about Patricia wrapping Kevin's Christmas present while I worked overtime to afford her lifestyle. I grabbed the books and went inside. Robert answered the door, huge smile on his face. "Christopher, so glad you could make it, son. We've been worried about you." "I'm good, Robert. Actually, I'm better than I've been in years." Ellen hugged me in the entryway. "Patricia mentioned you two are working on things. We're praying for you." I hugged her back, and I felt like a monster. "Thank you, Ellen. That means a lot." The party was in full swing. I spotted Kevin across the room, talking to some guys from his church. Patricia was in the kitchen with her sister Monica. They both looked up when I walked in. Patricia looked nervous. Kevin looked confused. I got a drink from the bar. Whiskey, didn't touch it, just needed something for my hands, and circulated. Made small talk with people I'd known for years. Everyone asked about the business, about Patricia, about if we were okay. I smiled and said, "Everything's working out exactly how it should." At 8:30, I found Robert setting up the projector in the living room. Every year he did a slideshow. Photos from the year, family updates, that kind of thing. Sweet and boring and very Robert. "Hey, Robert, I put together a few photos for the slideshow," I said. "A tribute to Kevin. Can I add them to your presentation?" His face lit up. "That's wonderful, Christopher. Kevin's lucky to have a friend like you." I handed him a USB drive. He didn't check what was on it, just plugged it into the laptop. I watched him cue it up in the presentation order, right after the family photos. "This is perfect," Robert said. "We'll run it at 9, like always." I felt like I'd planted a bomb. From 8:30 to 9 p.m., I watched Kevin and Patricia navigate the party separately. They were good actors, barely interacted, kept to opposite sides of the room. But I noticed things. Kevin touched her lower back once when passing in the hallway. Patricia checked her phone. Kevin checked his 10 seconds later. They were texting each other, probably about me being there. At 8:55, I positioned myself near the light switches. At 9 p.m., Robert got everyone's attention. Okay, settle down. Time for our annual year-end review slideshow." Everyone gathered in the living room, 60-some people, packed in, holding drinks, talking and laughing. Patricia stood near the kitchen. Kevin was next to his dad, helping with the tech setup. Robert dimmed the lights. The projector hummed to life. The first slides were normal. Family photos, Kevin's parents at church events, birthday parties. People made appreciative noises. Someone called out, "Love that one, Ellen." Slide 15 loaded. Title card, plain white text on black background, the 15-year con. Confusion rippled through the room. Robert squinted at the screen. "What's this?" Next slide, Patricia and Kevin kissing on the ski lift, timestamp visible. The room went silent, like someone had sucked all the air out. Next slide, property records showing Northwest Property LLC, members Kevin Morrison, Patricia Chen. Kevin lunged for the laptop. "Dad, turn it off!" Robert stepped in his way, staring at the screen. "Kevin, what is this?" "Let it play," I said from the back of the room. Every head turned to look at me. The slides kept clicking through. Bank statements showing wire transfers, photos of them on vacation together, dated and labeled, the timeline of their affair year by year, the total embezzlement amount in big red numbers, $200,000. Patricia tried to leave. I stepped in front of the door. "You wanted a public relationship," I said. "Here it is." Kevin's mother, Ellen, started crying. Not soft tears, harsh body-shaking sobs. The final slide appeared. Questions? Ask Kevin and Patricia about their 15-year affair and million-dollar fraud scheme. Or ask Christopher, the husband and business partner they've been robbing since 2009. I turned on the lights. The room was frozen. 60 people staring at either the screen, me, Kevin, or Patricia. Someone's drink slipped from their hand and shattered on the floor. Nobody moved to clean it up. Robert looked at his son, and I'd never seen a man age so fast. "Kevin, tell me this isn't true." "Dad, it's not. He's making it look worse than..." I pulled out the 3 evidence books, walked over and handed one to Robert. Page 47 shows where Kevin embezzled $750,000 from our business. Page 63 shows where Patricia billed us for fake consulting. Page 89 shows their properties, bought with our stolen money. I handed the second book to Ellen, who could barely hold it through her shaking. I handed the third book to Patricia's brother Jake, who'd been standing near his sister. Jake opened it, flipped through, looked at Patricia, looked at Kevin. Then he tried to lunge at Kevin. It took 3 people to hold Jake back. "You piece of shit!" he was screaming. "You piece of shit!" Patricia's sister Monica started yelling at Patricia. "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're disgusting." Ellen collapsed into a chair. Robert was trying to comfort her while staring at Kevin like he didn't recognize him. The friend group fractured in real time. Some people grabbed their coats and left immediately. Didn't want to be part of the drama. Others surrounded me, apologizing, saying they had no idea. Kevin's college friends turned on him. "You stole from your best friend? For 15 years? What kind of person does that?" Patricia tried to defend herself. "You were never home," she shouted at me across the room. "You chose work over me every single day." I walked toward her, calm. "I was building our future. You were building your exit. There's a difference." "You don't understand?" "I understand everything. I understand you faked a prenup. I understand you stole from my business. I understand you fucked my best friend and properties you bought with my money. What exactly don't I understand, Patricia?" She had no answer. Kevin was still trying to talk to his father. "Dad, please, we can explain." "Don't," Robert said. His voice was ice. "Don't say another word to me." I didn't stay for the rest of the fallout. I'd said what I needed to say, shown what I needed to show. On my way out, Ellen grabbed my arm. Her makeup was running, and she looked 10 years older than when I'd arrived. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know." "I know you didn't," I said. "I'm sorry it had to be this way. He was raised better than this." She was crying again. "I don't understand how he became this person." "Neither do I, Ellen, but it's not your fault." Robert was standing behind her, and he looked at me with this expression I'll never forget. Not angry, just broken. "You didn't have to do it like this," he said quietly. "You could have told us privately." "I could have," I agreed. "But they didn't steal from me privately. They didn't betray me privately. They did it for 15 years, in front of everyone. And you all believed their lies. I just showed you the truth the same way." I left at 9:47 p.m., got in my car, and sat there shaking for 10 minutes before I threw up in the parking lot. I'd just destroyed 2 families in front of 60 witnesses. There was no going back from this. When I got home, I sat in my dark living room and asked myself, was it worth it? I didn't have an answer. The next 48 hours were chaos. My phone exploded with messages, over 200 texts, 50 calls. The friend group chat, with all 25 couples, imploded. 12 people sided with me immediately, sending messages like, "We're here for you," and "Can't believe we never saw it." 3 people tried to defend Kevin and Patricia with, "We don't know the full story," and "There are always 2 sides." 10 people said variations of, "This is too messy, I can't be involved." Patricia's employer, a marketing agency downtown, put her on administrative leave pending an investigation. Kevin's parents stopped answering his calls. By the end of week 1, the business damage was clear. Kevin showed up at the Renton shop, and I'd already changed the locks. He stood outside screaming at me through the window. I just stared at him until he left. 3 employees quit immediately. They'd been loyal to Kevin. 2 employees told me quietly, "We always thought Kevin was shady with the money. We just couldn't prove it." The local business community started hearing rumors. "Did you hear about the auto shop partners?" I overheard someone say at a supplier's office. I didn't correct them, let them talk. Patricia's family imploded too. Her mother, Sarah, called me, crying. "I don't know what Patricia became," she said. "This isn't how I raised her." Patricia's brother, Jake, refused to speak to her. Her sister, Monica, posted on Facebook, "Family isn't always blood. Sometimes they are the people who don't stab you in the back." She deleted it an hour later, but the damage was done. Kevin's sister, Amanda, reached out to me. "I'm so sorry for what my brother did. You didn't deserve this. None of us knew." But the worst came in week 2. Ellen had a panic attack. severe enough that Robert called 911. She spent a night in the hospital under observation, blood pressure through the roof, put on new medication. They kept her for monitoring. I got an email from Robert the next day. One line of text and an attached photo of Ellen in a hospital bed, looking small and fragile. The text said, "Was this worth it?" I stared at that email for an hour. Then I called David at 2 a.m., hyperventilating. "I put a 70-year-old woman in the hospital," I said. "What kind of person does that?" "Kevin put his own mother in the hospital," David said, "the day he decided to betray everyone who loved him. She's on blood pressure medication now because of me. She's on blood pressure medication because her son turned out to be a fraud and a thief. You didn't make Kevin do any of this, Chris." But I couldn't shake the guilt. Ellen was innocent. Robert was innocent. And I'd use their party, their home, their community as the stage for my revenge. I'd wanted justice, but somewhere along the way, I'd become cruel. The legal process ground forward anyway. Patricia's attorney tried to negotiate. "Drop the fraud charges. She'll waive spousal support." "No," I told Marcus. "She gets nothing she didn't earn, which is nothing." Kevin's attorney offered to buy me out. $1.8 million for your half of the business. I countered at $2.4 million. That's fair market value. He's got 1 week or I force a sale. Kevin couldn't get financing. The fraud investigation spooked the banks. We ended up selling the entire company to a third-party buyer for $4 million. After debts, I got $2.2 million. Kevin got $1.8. But my civil lawsuit was still pending for the full $1.2 million in embezzlement. By week 3, the story leaked to local media. Small headline in the Seattle Times business section. Auto shop partnership dissolved amid fraud allegations. It didn't name names, but there were enough details that anyone local could figure it out. Patricia lost her marketing job. The company didn't want the association. Kevin had to move back in with his parents. They didn't want him there, but he was broke, waiting for the business sale to close. Patricia moved to the Belltown condo full-time. It was the only property not yet seized by my liens. That would come after the fraud case settled. The social isolation intensified. Kevin got banned from Sunday family dinners. His friends who'd stayed neutral eventually ghosted him. He started seeing a therapist, court-mandated for the fraud case. Then he got a DUI on February 20th, pulled over after leaving a bar at 2 a.m. Patricia couldn't show her face at the yoga studio. Too many of our mutual friends went there. She applied to 30 jobs, no callbacks. Google her name, and the scandal popped up. And me? I was drowning in guilt. I got another message from Ellen in late February. This one said, "I pray for you every day, Christopher. I pray you find peace without hurting people." That broke me more than anything Patricia or Kevin had done. I told David, I wanted justice, but I became cruel. "You gave them what they gave you," David said. "Public humiliation, financial ruin. Don't apologize for fighting back." But Ellen's in therapy now. Robert looks 10 years older. They didn't deserve this. No, they didn't, but that's on Kevin, not you. I wanted to believe him, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ellen's face at that party, her world falling apart in real time. The divorce finalized on March 15th. Patricia agreed to the settlement terms. No spousal support. Split remaining assets 50-50 after she repaid her share of embezzled consulting fees. She had to sell the Belltown condo to cover the $400,000 she owed. The hearing took 8 minutes. Patricia looked exhausted. Wouldn't make eye contact. The judge signed the papers, and it was over. I felt nothing. Not relief, not satisfaction, just empty. But I wasn't done rebuilding yet. In April, I used my $2.2 million to buy back 2 of the 4 shops from the third-party buyer. Then I did something unexpected. I made Marcus and Diane equal partners, 33% each. The attorney and the accountant who'd helped me destroy Kevin and Patricia were now helping me build something new. We renamed it Evergreen Auto Group. Fresh start, clean slate. I also implemented transparent accounting. Every partner had access to every account, every transaction. No more blind trust. Never again. The business thrived. Turns out Kevin had been dead weight. We were more profitable in 3 months than we'd ever been with him involved. I started therapy too. Dr. Lisa, a woman in her 50s who didn't take my bullshit. "You're grieving 2 relationships," she told me in our 3rd session. "Your wife and your best friend. That's 2 deaths, even if they're both still alive. I killed those relationships myself, I said. No, they killed the relationships the day they chose betrayal. You just showed the world the bodies. I wanted to believe that, but the guilt over Ellen and Robert wouldn't go away. In June, I wrote them a letter. Didn't send it to Kevin, just his parents. Delivered it in person to their house. They were surprised I came. The letter said, "I'm sorry the truth hurt you. I'm not sorry I told it. You deserve to know who your son became. But I'm sorry it happened the way it did. You raised him better than this. He made his choices. I made mine. I hope you can find peace." Ellen read it while I stood on their porch, and she started crying. Again. I seemed to make her cry a lot. "Thank you for this," she said finally. Robert shook my hand. "You were a good friend to Kevin. He didn't deserve you." "No," I agreed. "He didn't." We didn't reconcile, but there was closure. The social landscape stabilized by summer. 12 couples from our friend group stayed in my circle. They planned outings, invited me to barbecues, slowly knit together a new normal without Kevin and Patricia. I started accepting invitations again. Went to a Mariners game in July with David and some friends. Actually laughed for the first time in months. In October, I met someone new. Rachel, 34, elementary school teacher. We met at a coffee shop in Ballard. She was grading papers. I was reviewing shop reports. Started talking about nothing important. Exchanged numbers. We went on 3 dates before I told her my story. I figured she'd run. Instead, she said, "So you're a guy who was betrayed, fought back, and built something new. That's not a red flag, that's resilience." We took it slow. I was terrified to trust anyone again. But Rachel was patient. By December, we were dating seriously, though I still had walls up. December 23rd, 2024. 1 year exactly since the Chromecast notification. I was at Rachel's apartment, helping her decorate for Christmas. Her smart TV showed a notification. Rachel's iPhone wants to cast Christmas baking 2024.mp4. I flinched. Actually flinched, Rachel noticed. "You okay?" she asked. I laughed. Couldn't help it. "Yeah, just remembering. I'm okay now." She squeezed my hand and I realized I was okay. Not the same person I'd been a year ago. That version of me died on December 23rd, 2023. But this version, scarred, wary, but still standing, this version could build something real. I was too busy building to notice they were tearing it all down. But I'm building again now, smarter this time, with better partners, stronger foundations. So, what happened to them? Patricia moved to Portland in late 2024. Too many bridges burned in Seattle. Last I heard, she's working retail management. Couldn't get marketing jobs with her reputation. She lives alone in a studio apartment. Monica told me Patricia tried to reach out, apologize, reconnect. Monica blocked her. The affair didn't survive the exposure. Turns out when you build a relationship on lies and secrets, it falls apart when the lights come on. Patricia's dating someone new now, some guy she met online, not Kevin. Kevin's fate is harder to talk about. The DUI conviction came with 6 months suspended license. The fraud case settled in summer 2024. He has to pay me $800,000 over 10 years. He's working as a mechanic at a chain auto shop now. The irony isn't lost on me. We were supposed to build something better than the chains. Now he's just another employee at one. His parents let him back to family dinners at Thanksgiving 2024, but it's tense. Amanda, his sister, says he's trying. He's in AA, working on sobriety, seeing a therapist. But he's broken, destroyed himself when he destroyed us. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. Then I remember, they had 15 years to tell the truth, 15 years to stop stealing, 15 years to be honest. They chose lies every single day. I chose one night of truth. Ellen asked me once if it was worth it. The revenge, the fallout, all of it. I've thought about that question every day since. Honestly, I don't know, but I know this. I'd rather be someone who fought back than someone who let them walk away with my life. Kevin and Patricia taught me that people you trust can betray you for 15 years without blinking. But they also taught me something else. I'm stronger than I thought. And when you burn down the lies, sometimes you find yourself in the ashes, ready to build something real. I spent 15 years building while they tore it all down. Then I spent 1 year tearing down what they built. Now I'm building again, smarter this time, with better partners, stronger foundations. And you know what? The second time around, I'm building something worth keeping.